Welcome to another episode of the Closers Klub. Today, I am joined by Marc Abou-Ezzi. Now, Marc, did I say your last name right?
Yeah, you're pretty close.
I'm pretty close.
That's fine.
I know people butcher it.
No, that's fine.
All
That's
right,
good.
man. How do you say it?
Ezzi.
Ezzi, Marc Ezzi?
Abou-Ezzi.
Abou-Ezzi.
There
All
you
right,
go.
cool. There we go. Marc Abou-Ezzi. And Marc, I really just wanted to, invite you on the show because I've seen you from afar. Obviously, we've done some deals together on the brokerage side, and then we got to meet recently one-on-one and kind of learn a little bit more about your story. And I found it very fascinating, but most importantly, inspiring about how you got into real estate, kind of your background and where you're looking to take your business. So definitely just wanted to jump in and learn a little bit more about your origin story. You know, where you came from. Did you grow up here? Did you grow up elsewhere? And kind of speak on your journey into real estate.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me here. So take a years back. So my parents immigrated to this country. I was born here along with my siblings. So we're first generation Americans.
Nice.
Kind of grew up in the suburbs of Boston, up in Methuen and North Andover, Massachusetts. And kind of the push my whole life was to kind of go down the immigrant parent mindset, like go down like the medical or engineer or attorney route. And it just like once I got to college, I went to college in Boston at Boston University. I quickly realized that I kind of wanted to do something more on the business side of things. So to kind of like figure out what I wanted to do, I didn't really have much guidance from my parents on that end because they were telling me, okay, well, if you want to go down the medical or dental route, I can help you. But if you want to go down the business route, I mean, I can connect you with people, but it's not what I did. So you're going to have to figure it out. So I had two options. One was become an Uber driver, and two was to get my real estate license. So I signed up for Uber, never made a ride, but I ended up getting my real estate license as well. And then what happened is that I started renting apartments to all my classmates at BU. So I was a broker, and all my classmates were looking for apartments to move off campus. It's a big off-campus living school. And so I was making all those commissions. While making all those commissions as well, I had direct contact with landlords to know how they were operating and how they lived their lives and stuff like that. And it just intrigued me and impressed me. So the fortunate part was that I was able to take all that money that I was making from commissions and go invest and buy property. So that's kind of how I started getting my feet wet in real estate. In college, I bought my first property using the commissions I was making, and then just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And then out of school, I worked a corporate job for a little bit in real estate, corporate finance, real estate, private equity as well. And then kind of left my job right at the start of the pandemic and have just been doing real estate full time since.
Love it, man. Sounds like there was a turning point, right? It was either going to be Uber or real estate, right? Which is like two totally different paths.
Man, I had a few turning points.
Yeah, you made the right choice.
Yeah,
and I think you'd agree.
It was at first dental school or something else. Then it was Uber real estate. Then it was corporate real estate or entrepreneurial real estate. So
Excellent,
those are the
man.
different paths, and I think we're always coming to forks in the road and always making decisions still to this day. So
Absolutely.
you always got to be ready to make those decisions and make those calls.
Yeah, man. Uber didn't even exist when I got into real estate, guys. Can you imagine that? I'm dating myself now, but it's all good. I mean, maybe I would have been an Uber driver. Who knows?
Never know.
Nah, just kidding. But one thing I wanted to touch on, Marc, that you mentioned, and I think there's a lot of people in America who go through this, is coming from an immigrant family. I'm actually a first generation American as well. A lot of people don't know that, but my mother immigrated here from Jamaica when she was 16 years old and had me 3 years later. But I know there's a lot of pressure to kind of go down a similar path to your parents because they came here for you to have a better opportunity.
Right.
And the last thing they want you to do is waste it. And the last thing the good kids want to do is waste it, right? You want to make the most of the opportunities you have. So was there any pressure you felt from your parents to kind of go down the path of law or in the medical field?
Yeah, definitely. No, 100%. And it was pressure in the beginning, but then, so my father's a dentist, and it was kind of like the push was go down that route. I mean, he's got a clinic and all that. So it was kind of like the path that was already almost set up, and you just kind of take it to the next level. And he would bring me on through high school and stuff like, hey, come spend some time working with me. And my whole focus was on how the business ran. I didn't care about how the clinical stuff was. And he picked up on that.
Interesting.
And he was like, you should consider other things, right? Like if you're in this for the money and for the business, this is not what you should be in it for. So you should consider other things. And then when I started thinking about other stuff, he was very open-minded. He was very, inspiring, like trying to teach me things, just providing wisdom and mentorship that a father would, right? And then when I found real estate, he was the one that was like, yeah, you got this money, go buy a property. Don't spend it, right? Go buy a property. That's the next level.
Nice.
That's the next step. Buy the property. Next one, buy the next property, buy the next one. And and to this day, always pushing me, right? Like we're going from, we were doing $1 to $2 million deals to $3 million deals. We just did a $10 million deal, right?
Congrats.
Do it, right? Like don't think twice. So you kind of always have that push, and that's huge, right? Like a lot of like you said, a lot of immigrant parents, like they think like, okay, like we didn't have those opportunities. Sometimes they don't even see that they exist in America. So it's kind of important to like notice that like if you're in America and you have those opportunities, you can take them. It just requires hard work, discipline, and some luck.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, it sounds like you had a very supportive family, which I think is a huge part of empowering folks to be successful.
100%.
Because I know having that added pressure, like Alex from Ozzy talks about, like his dad was in the medical field as well, and kind of forced him to try to go that path, and kind of was like, oh, if you don't go that path, I can't do anything for you, you know. So it's good that they supported your vision, man. So speaking of the deals, it sounds like you've done, obviously, I know you've done quite a few deals, Mark. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 28 now.
28, man, and already did your first $10 million deal.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
It was a nice one.
That's huge.
We jumped all over it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Talk a little bit, Mark, about kind of your vision for your real estate business, like what you do. Are you fixing and flipping? Are you buying and holding? Obviously, I know, but just explain to folks out there what you are. Are you a developer or are you an investor? Like, speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, I like to call myself investor/redeveloper. I haven't done a ground up project yet. I would love to, just to kind of see if that's the path I like. Honestly, the way I've kind of gone is just like keeping an open mind and trying different things. And as you meet people throughout this business, you realize like what more can you do? What are you doing right? What do you could do better? So I kind of would be open to doing development, but right now I think I'd label myself as investor redeveloper. So my kind of specialty is buying property that's like inefficiently run or what we would call like distressed, and improve it through actual capital expenditure, renovations, time spent on the job. And then bring up the income statement, right? So now it's like a properly income producing at market rates, like that's, and then obviously stabilizing that asset and holding on to it. That's kind of the path that I want to take. I did that for a while on my own. Then I realized like, okay, we're in a situation here where you have good contractors and subcontractors that like are kind of, you want to keep them busy. You got brokers and deal providers that are hitting you up. You got to keep buying from them. Mm-hmm. What's the missing piece?
Yep.
The capital, right? Like to continue to be able to buy. And as the deals get bigger, the capital requirements get like obviously more substantial. So then I kind of started going down the path like about 2 years ago of bringing investment partners, silent investment partners. And then I would still like do the operations, stabilize the deal, and then just kind of manage other people's like investment in that property. So my plan is to continue doing that for sure, through different asset classes. I mean, we started looking at, my first property that I ever bought by myself, like year in college, was a condo. Then we went into 3 families. Then we looked at apartment buildings. Now we're looking at apartment complexes.
Nice.
And the idea is to continue doing that. Soon it might be to switch geographies. Right now I'm focused in New Hampshire and Mass. We might expand a little geographically, and we might expand a little bit in terms of sector, depending on where we're finding deals. I mean, right now it's the market environment and the economy is forcing us to get creative. So finding those value add multifamily deals that pencil out today and work out, like it's getting much harder than it was like even a year ago. So now we got to get creative with different asset classes, different project plans, etc. So where I end up going, I guess we'll see, but I'm keeping an open mind, and I for sure want to just keep doing what I'm doing.
Excellent, man. No, I appreciate you sharing that. How many market units do you have now, Mark?
Right now we got a few that we're selling right now, but we're at just around 125, like
125 units in your portfolio.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow. Good stuff, man.
Own and manage, yeah.
One of the things I want to give you credit for seeing at an early age, and I think I wish someone told me this when I was younger, but I recently met a billionaire at a real estate conference and had a chance to speak with him. One of the things he said, especially as young real estate investors and entrepreneurs, is to scale up as big as you can, as fast as you can. And I really feel like you've done that, and I don't know if it was consciously or if it was someone who advised you, was a mentor, anyone, or what was your who kind of is the backbone of your strategy?
Let me take it back like to the first deal. Like when you're teaching a kid how to swim, a young kid how to swim, they don't know the risk, right? They just want to jump in the water and then like,
right.
Yeah. Right. So that's
all of us.
That was me when I bought my
That was
first
me
condo.
too. Yeah.
Right? Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just wanted to do it.
Yep.
So I jumped right into it, grabbed it, and learned from it. And that ended up working out successfully. Yeah, it had issues that I figured out, and I spent I had a lot of regretful moments and all that, like while I was doing it. But looking back, like that was kind of how I entered the business. And that's kind of how I want to keep going in the business, is like, look at the bigger stuff, right? It's intimidating, but you could, like, I kind of have it imprinted in my head that I could figure things out, right? So I kind of just jump into stuff, surrounding myself with other people like that are in this business and doing like bigger things than I am, like
great point.
Yourself, for example, man.
Yep.
That's what motivates you, right? That's what motivates you to want to continue to strive to do bigger, better. Like, I mean, at this point, it's about the passion for the game, right? Like we love this business. We love it all. It's just like, if a deal comes, the deal works, we're taking that deal. We'll figure out how to get it, but we're going to get that deal. You know?
Love it, man. And I love the fact that you built it. You started on your own, Mark. And I think that also is a huge part of why you're able to raise capital twofold. You kind of touched on it. You're surrounding yourself with the right people. You have the right network, but also you have a track record. So speak a little bit about how you go about raising money for these deals. Are these equity partners? Are they debt partners? Like what does that look like? And what do you think the keys to your success on that front have been?
I think in terms of raising capital, I'm right now focused on friends and family, mostly at this point, friends, people that were in my circle, like in college, that are now like a few years out and doing good things in their career, and kind of like focused on that and want to find opportunities for investment, especially in real estate. And obviously they're not going to be the ones like on the ground. So, it creates a good avenue for them, and that word spreads. Obviously we give them priority if we have a good deal, and they'll try to make it work as best as they can. So in terms of like being able to do the deal and raise the capital for it, like I'm going on a deal by deal basis. I'm not doing a fund. We're doing more syndication. So we find the deal, we put it under contract, we go raise the capital for it. It's not like raise the capital, then go find the deal.
Right.
So once I find the deal, I put that deal under contract. I know I want that deal for X, Y, and Z reasons. Once I know I want that deal and I have that vision for it, I can sell that deal. And the ability to be able to sell that deal and show like why this is a good deal to people that trust you, and also like they're putting their money in your hands, right? So that ability, I think, helps raise capital. And also I think passion resonates. So like they see like, okay, like this guy's driven. He knows how to do this deal. He knows that he wants to do this deal, and we want to be invested in it. That's on the intangible side. On the tangible side, I think I'm pretty vertically integrated. So that's another thing that we could talk about, but I'm pretty vertically integrated in terms of like contracting, property management. So I can take a deal from acquisitions. I partner with some guys, but from like acquisition to kind of stabilization, I can do it all in house. And so that showing that control and that ability to execute also puts trust with the investors. Like, okay, like it's not like this person is raising capital and then outsourcing everything and kind of just like supervising it. Maybe we might get to that at some point as we continue to scale, but at least right now we're developing like a on the ground knowledge of how things work. So if we do get to that at some point, we still know like if things are happening, if things are happening right, although they're being outsourced. So on the tangible side, it's kind of like being vertically integrated, having the track record. And on the intangible side, it's just like being able to sell a good deal and just kind of letting passion for the business resonate to people, you know?
Got it, man. And you mentioned it a couple of times, Mark. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the word trust. You said that several times through that. And you know, we both know that everything you stated is really around allowing folks to get comfortable with you.
Yeah.
What do you think has been the key to gaining their trust? And obviously you know how to sell the deal, but is it more the relationship or more the track record if you had to weigh it?
I think it's both. I mean, trust is very, very hard to earn and easy. I mean, it's cliche, right? Very hard to earn, easy to break.
Love it.
All the numbers are disclosed every single quarter, right? Like down to the pennies. Like we're not hiding anything. Like even though like we're vertically integrated, we're underwriting those market fees. Like we're being very open with our investors. Like they know exactly what we're doing. And just kind of like telling them all the risks associated up front, right? Like I'm not trying to if someone doesn't want the deal or has even a little bit of hesitation, if I pick up on that, I'm gonna end that call, not end the call, but I'm gonna just like ease off and then not call back.
You don't force it.
You're not gonna force it, right?
Yep.
So like you see someone that's interested, like just tell them what they want to know, right? Like let them ask questions, and then also just explain to them all the risks. I spend more time when I'm pitching the deal. I spend more time probably showing the risks than the pros. Just because the pros, I wouldn't be talking to you if there was no pros to this deal, but let's talk about the risks.
Love it.
So you kind of put those up front. What could go wrong? If it goes wrong, how can we mitigate it, right? Kind of having those plans. And then also like after closing and like quarterly updates, like everything that's going on, all the numbers, right? I think that's what ends up building trust in people. And I mean, knock on wood, I mean, if something were to go wrong, I mean, you just be honest with them, just like if things were going right. So I think that has a lot to do with being able to build trust with people that can provide capital.
Great points, man. So to sum it up, trust, transparency, and really speak about risk mitigation, right? And I think, you know, that's really the kind of the core pieces of any sales pitch relative to anyone you're trying to, you know, bring into your business or bring into, you know, your syndication.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of times people neglect to listen. And that's why I asked you that question, because I really want people to understand what it takes to scale a real estate business. You're not going to be able to do it with your own capital, but you've got to make sure you have a formula that empowers you to go out there, you know, show that, you know, you have a track record of performance to gain people's trust, but most importantly, listen to what their concerns are, and then really speak to those concerns. And if you feel they're, you know, trepidatious, it's time to back off, you know. And I think that's great advice, man. And I've learned that myself over the years in different capacity, but that really was you know, I really wanted you to kind of expand on that, because I really believe a lot of young investors they struggle with that piece of it. You know, everyone thinks it's easy, Mark. You're like, oh yeah, you know, do a deal, call my buddies, we're gonna raise money, and let's just keep going. You know, it's obviously there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, and always like I mean, I see a lot of people just speak so aggressively, like, yeah, there's no way this isn't gonna work out, like this, that, like. Just calm down.
There we go.
Calm down. Like, cause you might be able to raise it for that deal, but if it doesn't work out, it's going to be really hard to regain that, you know?
I'm telling you, man, you should be talking to some of my buddies in their 40s, man. You're wise beyond your years when it comes to raising capital. So great. Cool, man. I really appreciate you sharing kind of your structure and your process. I want to switch gears a little bit, Mark, and really speak on your habits. Kind of what do you believe continues to allow you to be successful? You know, do you have a daily routine you follow? You know, is there something that you do consistently that, you know, allows you to focus on, you know, growing the business? Like, what's your routine look like, or what habits do you have that you feel really support everything you're trying to do in your life?
Yeah. I think on the tangible side, I think it's like I try to structure my day the same every day, as unless something comes up and I can't. But basically, I know how I work best, and usually I work best in the morning. So like, first thing I'm going to do in the morning when I wake up is I'm going to be on the computer for like 2-3 hours. There's always email backlog from the day before. There's always stuff that needs to get out. My morning is my time to be able to do that, right? Wake up, make a coffee, sit there, crank out work for 2 to 3 hours while my phone is still on Do Not Disturb. Then
Nice.
then I'm out. Then I'm leaving the house, right? If we got a day where we're doing site tours, I'm checking up on jobs, right? I'm trying to go to any job that we have. I'm trying to go there myself at least twice a week. To see what's going on and like make sure everything is like according to plan and running smoothly. And then I make a strong effort, and I this is recent, I'll admit, like to make an effort to go walk properties as much as possible, right? Walk properties as much as possible, because that's like how you'll network with other people. That's how you'll learn the most of like, okay, this traded at that. Why? What was going on there? This has this business plan. Like you'll go to a property, you'll see they're doing something nice here, right? Like what did they do right? You take that idea to a property you already own. So trying to walk as many properties as possible, trying to kind of just connect with as many people as possible. I think that's really those are the next habits that I need to form in order to like get me to be able to start doing more and more acquisitions.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
How about personally? Do you work out? Do you read? Do you have hobbies?
I won't lie. I've been slacking on the gym lately.
You look pretty fit, man. You're maintaining well. So maybe that age, 28.
Maybe. I don't know. But I've been slacking on the gym lately, but I like to bike. That's my therapeutic time. Yeah. Someone told me, a good friend of mine was like, I can't see you ever like sitting down on a beach and just like relaxing. Like that's not your personality. You got to be doing something active to de-stress. So like, I like to go on like a mountain bike ride, like in the trails around, like we got Middlesex Fells, Harold Parker, like just trails around Boston because it's active like work. So like
Right.
you can't think about anything but the trail, or else you're gonna hit a tree or something, right? So that's those are the kind of like hobbies I like to do outside of work that kind of like let you stop for a moment and refresh. I mean, go for a nice bike ride on a day like today, like for an hour just out in nature. Your phone, no one's talking to you. Perfect. Come back and then refresh for the next day.
Nice, man. No, that's great. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So talk a little bit, Marc, about any mentors or any people that were critical to your real estate success along your journey. Do you have any one mentor, if there's one person that you want to shout out or
definitely
speak
my
on?
dad. Definitely my dad. Yeah. I
Gotcha.
mean, and like I said earlier, like it's not about him knowing like the real estate business. He's obviously picked up a lot of it. Kind of just like being very involved in the day-to-days with me and just like asking me questions and striking conversations about it. But yeah, just kind of like always pushing to like just keep going, like don't slow down. He knows I'm in my years of just like strong ambition and your prime years, right?
Right.
And so he's just like continuously pushing me for the next one, and that's good. And at the end of the day, he's just like a good, like a wise person. So like he might not understand the technicals, but like he can ask a few questions and figure it out, and then just kind of like give you advice or tell you where to go find the advice. So I would say that would probably be the one person that like you could give a lot of kudos to.
Love it, man. That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. You know, like many of us, our fathers were very influential in our lives.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
You got to repeat that favor.
Absolutely. Pay it forward and take care of them on the other end.
There you go.
Hopefully we don't end up in a nursing. They don't end up in a nursing home, and we don't either.
Yeah, man.
Cool, man. What advice, Marc, would you give to your younger self before you started in real estate? Like, fast forward to today, looking back to yesterday, you know, just kind of buying that first condo.
Yeah.
Any advice you would give yourself? And I ask this question really, again, to really help people out there who are kind of just struggling with getting started and, you know, with all the unknowns, right? Like, what do you wish you would have known then that you know now? If anything.
Yeah, no. Keep an open mind, right? Be a little naive if you can, right? Like people can sit there all day. Like, I mean, think about it, right? If like at our age, if we're going to go learn how to ski, for example, right? You're going to start thinking about all the different risks involved with learning how to ski. You could fall, you could hit a tree, all this. Same thing with the deals, right? Like you can look at the deals and you can be like, well, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. You do that, you're just never going to end up, you're going to find 100 reasons to convince yourself not to do it.
Analysis paralysis.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think like if you're going to jump in and like you got the financial comfort to be able to get into the deals, just a little bit of, I mean, this works for me, right? So it might not work for everybody. Just being a little naive might allow someone to just put their foot in the door and take it on. And then keep an open mind, right? Like definitely keep an open mind on what can come up, right? Like as you're going, like you might never know. I mean, today I never thought I would have a property management company, right? And today we have a property management company just because we need to service our own properties. So kind of keep an open mind going forward of to like things that you're going to have to do or things that you can do. And then ultimately, like if people like want to get in, just do it, right? Like there are so many resources. Maybe the market today makes it a little tougher, but like there are so many resources that this country's like financial system and economy allow for. I mean, as simple as like being able to house hack, right? Like being able to purchase your first triple decker, DIY a lot of it. I feel like that's a big way that a lot of people get started. And honestly, like you just got to do it, right? And your first impression on a property is really going to kind of like determine if you're going to keep going or not, right? If you do your first deal and you put a tenant upstairs and that tenant is horrible and you got to go through eviction and all the pipes are bad in the building, like you might not do another deal, right? Yeah. So, but if you go in and it's like a clean renovation, like a strong rental demand, great tenant, right? The perfect recipe, then you're going to want to do as many deals as possible. So,
that's a great point, man.
Yeah. Like the first impression I think is just like, is huge. So you really gotta just be cognizant of that. Cognizant of that.
It's interesting you mentioned that because the experience of the investor is a unique experience, right? You may have had a phenomenal first experience with your first investment and another guy is in the poorhouse. You know, it's very similar price point, same age and you know, same attitude towards real estate to start, but folks can get jaded early on.
Yeah, 100%.
So I like the advice of being naive because it allows you to keep an open mind, like you said, and be open to the possibilities of what could come from it. Know that just because you had a negative experience the first time, kind of like dating, right? You could have dated someone and it turned out horribly.
Yeah.
And like, I never want to date again, but you got to get back out there and give it another 100%. Go. There's beautiful stories and great things that come from it. And I think it's important not to lose faith and not to allow one bad experience to really characterize your whole
100%.
attitude towards the industry. So I really appreciate that advice, man. That's great.
And you know what, on a more like tangible side, like one thing that I struggled with in the beginning, like when I had like 2, 3, a couple condos, was kind of like finding labor, finding help, right? Like
would you say that was your biggest challenge to date?
Yeah. That was the biggest one. I mean, even today it's the problem, right? That's never gonna go away. So that was kind of the toughest thing. One mitigating factor that I did, and I think I tell a lot of people to try to do this, is if you're going to buy one property, you got to change a water heater. Chances are, unless you're going to pay a premium, you're not going to get a plumber to come change your water heater that same day, right? Because he's working on his customers that are making him change one water heater a week, right? People that have multiple units and investors, developers, etc.
Yep.
So one way that worked for me back then was I found a few friends that own some properties, and we kind of branded ourselves as one company. Right. So
nice.
We had a bunch of stuff going on. And so when you did that, like you would talk to electricians, plumbers, HVAC guys, all that. And you'd be like, oh, well, we have all these right now. I need you here. If it works out, like you can keep helping us with all our properties. And I only had like 2 units.
Brilliant.
Right?
You hear that, guys? Listen, that's great advice. I thought you were going to say, man, I got on YouTube and started busting out pipes and changing water heaters myself.
Oh, man.
You flipped the script. You're like, no, we pooled our resources together.
Yeah. I mean, it depends what you want to do. Some people want to learn and do that stuff. I didn't. I didn't know how. I'm not handy, right? So I couldn't to save my life.
That's great advice, man.
And we had to figure it out. I mean,
I love that.
I think that's that's one of the biggest reasons that pushes people to stop, or like, okay, if something goes wrong in the middle of the night, well, okay, fine, fix it in the morning, but you got to call like you got to find those resources. And I think not having those resources to take down a lot of the day-to-day things is what intimidates people. And even if they end up closing, it's what probably pushes people out.
Right.
So that's one way to kind of like mitigate if you only got a small portfolio.
Yeah, no, I love it, man.
Yeah.
This is the last question, Mark, and it's really, again, to show folks what's possible when you really confront challenges in life. How do you cope with fear, right? Because obviously this is a risky business. Sometimes ideas pop in your mind, like, what if this doesn't work out? Because, we never know until we actually do it. But what is your strategy for coping with fear?
Coping with fear. So like,
even if it's just small, like, you have a question if a deal's going to work out or not. You know what I mean? Like, how do you kind of overcome that and just pull the trigger?
I mean, I think now I go into every deal, and it's kind of contradicting what I said earlier, but now I'm kind of going into every deal, like looking at all the reasons why I shouldn't do the deal. Right. And then like while I'm walking through it or like analyzing it, like I'm just trying to like find answers to all those. Certain things just won't go away. Like if you're buying a property and you gotta, a renovation's a renovation, right? Like it'll get done. But like if you're gonna go in and you're gonna, I don't know, increase the P&L by 100%, right? Like
that's a big task.
That's a big risk.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of things could go wrong, right?
Yep.
At the end of the day, like you can worry about that all day. You come up with mitigating factors, like actual, like tangible mitigating factors on. You think of the risks. This is what I'm gonna do to prevent it. And then at the end of the day, you're just like, I just got to do it. You just got to do it. So the fear stays. The fear is always there. And I think that's what humbles business owners, right? Like you see like people that are super flashy and stuff, and you're like, okay, like fine. And then like the business owners, the people that are doing this day to day, you usually see that they're a little more humble because they realize like this is so fragile.
Right.
There is so much of this that is fragile, that and it's out of your control for like being fragile, right? So like if that stuff turns, like it's just part of it's the risk you're taking, right? That's the risk you're taking. So I think the fear comes from risk, right? Knowing the risk that you have or the unknown risk. But you come up with mitigating factors. You take those down. At the end of the day, like you're being rewarded for that risk. So that fear is it's inevitable, right? So I don't think there's a way to kind of get rid of it at all. I think it's just kind of like use that fear to come up with mitigating factors for the rest of the deal.
Great advice, man. And I've seen so many successful entrepreneurs share similar sentiments when it comes to fear. It's you don't get rid of it, but you have to move despite it, right?
Yeah.
It's there, but it gets weaker as you take action. And it sounds like, I like the fact that you look at it from a risk perspective to start, so that you kind of confront it head on. It's like, all right, this is the worst case scenario, and then you come up with a plan to address whatever could potentially go wrong. And I think that allows you to move with a different level of confidence, and that comes over time and through experience or surrounding yourself with the right people. So
and and those thoughts that you have, to go back to the previous conversation, you share those with your partners and your investors, right?
Right.
You share those, because if it happens, right, it's much easier to say, well, we thought about this and it actually happened, than it is, oh, we didn't know, and they're all, So, yeah, just kind of looping that back in.
Nice, man. Nice. So let me ask you this, Mark. What's next for you, man? You're obviously looking to buy more apartment complexes. Is a new build in your future? Building an apartment complex, or you're not really, not really on your radar yet?
The fact that I want to build today when rates are where they are and banks are thinking the way they're thinking, it's I don't know. I would like to try it. I really do. I could take a building from framing to finish. I kind of want to go through that process of going from excavation to finish, So it is definitely, I don't know if I ever want to get into the permitting stuff.
Yeah. It can get messy.
It can get messy. One of the properties we just purchased down in Southern Mass, it actually has about an acre of land that we're looking at. Well, we started the process already to build on. So unless I find something that's really good, that'll probably be the first development deal I hopefully can do if it gets approved. But what's on my radar right now is to just continue acquiring multifamily properties, to kind of continue scaling it. I want to grow our in-house property management, considering growing our in-house general contracting. So those are just separate service companies that can be additional owned companies and assets. And they also help continue to be efficient and operate in a vertically integrated and efficient way. So to continue growing those, and just kind of focus more on multifamily acquisitions. And again, keep an open mind. If development comes my way, if different asset classes come my way, don't say no, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the short term. It's just get through these boring years, as I like to call them, where deals are just getting much harder to do. We spend a lot of time speculating and less time closing.
It's cyclical, but it will get better.
I hope so.
It will get better. 100%.
I really do. We need it.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, Mark, how can people connect with you, whether it's on social media, email, and primarily, what would you want people to connect with you for? Obviously, you're looking for deals, you're looking for multifamilies in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. So how can folks connect with you, and what would be the ideal scenario for people to reach out?
Yeah, so I'm available on Instagram. I'm not extremely active on Instagram. I'm available on LinkedIn. I'm trying to get more active on LinkedIn.
What's your name on IG?
On Instagram, it's Ezzi Property Group, EZZI Property Group.
Excellent.
And then on LinkedIn, it's my name, Marc with a C, Abou-Ezzi. So I kind of want to start getting a little bit more active on social media. I think it's kind of the way things are going now, right? That's how people are finding you. That's how people are learning about you. So those are two methods. I'd love to connect with more brokers. I'd love to connect with more investors, developers, anyone, insurance agents, attorneys. Me and you, Rob, are in this group called Level Up. I think one of the best parts of it is that we're surrounded by close to 50 people from different facets of the business, of the real estate industry, and it's just so valuable. And the more you grow that network, the better it is. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all sharing the same benefits and struggles in this business. So why not be friends?
Absolutely, man. No, it's true. It's true. It's not. This isn't sports where winner takes all, right? There's enough out here for everybody to get their piece.
Plenty. And we need each other, right? We need each other. As simple as if you're gonna do that beautiful development, bring up those market values, right? You're helping me and you're helping yourself. So there's absolutely no reason for us not to be friends.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, no, Mark, thank you so much for coming on today, man. I want to recognize you as a 28-year-old young man. You're doing amazing work.
Thanks, man.
You're really an inspiration to so many out there. Thank you for having the courage to share your story and really give an inside look at what it takes to build a real estate investment company. I have no doubt you're going to do great things, man. And
thank you.
Looking forward to staying connected. And this won't be the last time we have you on, man. We'll do this again.
I can't wait to see this podcast continue to grow, man. You're doing good stuff too.
Appreciate it. All right, man. That's a wrap.